Hello and welcome to Gamer Life. On this episode I'm going to be showing you different categories and classifications of certain games to help you better understand what people are talking about when you go to buy a game. So, first one I'd like to talk about is weight. The weight of a game to me tends to define how long the game is and how heavy or complex the rules are. So I first like to start with the featherweight games. These games take 15 to 30 minutes to play, are very easy to teach and very easy to learn. First one I'd like to talk about is No Thanks. No Thanks is a very simple game in which you're either passing on a card or taking the cards. Another one I'd like to talk about is For Sale. For Sale, you're buying and selling properties. The next one I'd like to talk about is the lightweight games, or sometimes called the family weight games. These are more complex than the fillers, but not too much more. Such as Gravwell, which you're trying to four players are trying to escape the singularity in which they're stuck in. And another one is Hanabi. Hanabi is a card game, but it's also a co-op game. Now, co-op means everyone at the table is working together to beat the game. Next category I'd like to talk about is the medium weight games. These games are slightly more complex. They might take a game or two for you to understand the game, but they're not very hard to learn or to play. First one I'll talk about is Zootarello. Zootarello is a game in which you're trying to manage your zoo and trying to get the animals to try and get the most points in your animals, breeding them and so on. And another one I talk about is a classic, Ticket to Ride. Ticket to Ride, you're trying to fill routes and completing and connecting across the Americas, and there are several expansions for this game in which you go through Europe, Asia, India. All the maps have slightly different rule systems, but the base one, Ticket to Ride, is still an excellent game. Next one I'd like to talk about is the heavyweight games. Now these games will take you at least 1 or 2 games to fully understand the game, and the rule systems are fairly complex. It'll probably take you a good day or two just to read the rules to get through these games. Ones I like to talk about are, the first one is Puerto Rico. Almost everybody I know has played Puerto Rico. It is a very good game, but it's also a heavy game in which you are trying to get the most points to win. It has a very heavy rule system and very heavy mechanics, but it's also a very good game. Another one I like to talk about is Eldritch Horror. Now this is a reprint of sorts of Arkham Horror. This is another co-op game in which all the players are playing a detective trying to stop Cthulhu or whatever horror they're playing against to come on the board. Both games will take up to 2 hours, if not more, to play, and are very complex in the rule systems. Now another term people like to talk about is whether or not a game is a Euro game or a Ameritrash game. Now, I don't like the term Ameritrash. I prefer Ameristyle. Mainly because I like Ameristyle over the Euro style, but that's just me. 2 classic examples are Risk Legacy, which is probably the crowning gem of the Ameristyle games. Now just like all the other Risks out there, you're fighting, you have direct player combat, dice rolling, tons of miniatures, but in this one here, you're actually writing on the board and tearing up cards. Awesome game. Classic Euro style game is Caylist. Now, Caylist is a worker placement game. Now, worker placement is you're taking your pawns, or in this case, cubes, and you're putting around the board to do various actions. Now, what a Euro style means is the gameplay is very heavy and it has a very heavy mechanic and rule systems, but the theme is very dry and very little player interaction. Some other mechanics that I could talk about is deck builders. Deck builders, you're starting off with a deck of cards and you're purchasing or acquiring new cards to build a better engine to eventually win the game. Now 2 good examples is Marvel Legendary, which is a deck builder and a co-op. And another one is Thunderstone. This one is a straight deck builder, which is building the deck and going through the dungeon and trying to earn the most victory points. Now, you've heard me talk about co-ops already. Now, there are 2 types of co-ops. There are the straight co-ops in which everyone is working against the game, and then there's the other type of co-ops in which one person plays the DM or the Overlord, and they're playing against the other players. One very good example is Descent. Now, Descent, one player plays the Overlord, and the other players are playing heroes going through the dungeon while the Overlord controls all the minions and is trying to stop the heroes. Another one like that is Super Dungeon Explorer. Now both these games are fairly heavy games. Well, they will both take you over 2 hours to play, and you're going to at least sit down with the rule set and go through it because they are very complex. Another category I like to talk about is dice rollers. Now, I like rolling dice. A lot of the games I showed you have dice rolling, such as Descent and Super Dungeon Explorer, but there are other games in which dice rolling takes a lot of the core part of the gameplay, such as Elder Sign, which is a co-op, which everyone is trying to work together to stop the horrors that are coming out. Another good example is Escape. Escape is a co-op in which everybody is trying to get through the ruins, rolling dice as fast as they can to get out. Now, another type I like to talk about is war games. Now, like a buddy Risk over there, war games are primarily direct conflict with each other. Now, there are several different types of war games out there. The ones I like are like the light to medium war games in which people don't turtle. Turtling is when someone just sits there and stockpiles forces, daring somebody to come attack them. Now, those games are okay, but I kind of like these other games in which you are rewarded for going out and attacking, such as Nexus Ops. Now, this is the Avalon Hill version. Fantasy Flight has a new version out there, but I still like my old one. This one here, you're rewarded for going out attacking. Every time you go on attack, you get a victory point. First person 10 victory points wins. You also get secret objectives in which you have to go out and do certain things, like kill a dragon with a human. Fun game. I strongly recommend you picking it up. Another one like that is Kemet. Now, Kemet is another war game in which you are rewarded by going out and attacking. But in this one here, you get to buy powers to make your armies better. And just like both games, you have a limited number of army units to go out and conquer with and gain victory points. Another style I like to talk about is economic games. Economic games, you have a certain set of money and resources, and you're trying to go out and spend your resources and your money wisely in order to make more money to get through the game, such as Power Grid. Power Grid is a classic game in which you are all trying to power cities by buying power plants and managing your resources to get the most victory points. Another one I like to talk about, that's another finance or economic game, is Chinatown. Chinatown is also a negotiation game. Now, negotiation means you are trying to persuade the other players to buy into what you're trying to sell. Negotiation has a lot of player interaction, but if you're a player who doesn't like to talk to a lot of people and who are kind of shy and taken back, then negotiation games may not be for you. Now, I hope this has helped you in trying to understand certain different types of games and game categories. In further reviews, I will show you more different types of categories and games. Now, my name is RF Alley. I remind you to slow down, play some games.